And welcome to one of my absolute favorite, most controversial topics in the human design system curriculum. This topic is so controversial, it's so confronting that most human design people will not even go anywhere near it. Or if they do, it's super, super surface stuff, and they don't want to really speak to the real story that is going on. So, with that said, we're going to dive in. I am just going to get ready to share my screen. Okay, digestion by design, or as Ra like to refer to it, dietary regimen, because it really is that serious, dietary regimen. It's like serious, but it's simple. So let's dive in and let's unpack a little bit. All right, disclaimer, first of all, welcome to the most controversial topic in human design. That's why I'm so excited to deliver it, because I'm a martyr heretic. I love the heretical nature of this body of work. And Ra was a 5-1. He was a heretic through and through. The more that I understand human design, the more that I get into the depths of this system, the more that I hear it through Ra's voice and his lens and his experience, the more like excited I am by it, because only he could have brought this through. He was designed to bring this through. And that really excites me, because it just creates more, it qualifies this knowledge even more. Not that it needs to be, but that's what he spent most of his life's work doing, was qualifying human design in a scientific sense. And now we get to play. So he did all the hard work. Everyone wants to know about digestion. They want to know what digestive type they are. This is really fueled by all the weird and wonderful landscape of dietary allergens, like ways of eating, these extreme diets, the health and wellness machine. It's all feeding this. So everyone wants to know about it, but then when they actually know about it, nobody wants to actually live this aspect of their design. It gets put aside in the too hard basket. And you know what? That's okay, because human design is not prescriptive. It is a choice. It is a daily, moment to moment choice, and one that your strategy and authority is leading through, not your mind. And sure, in the beginning, your mind, do it with your mind. Like, just go, okay, I know this about me. Let's experiment. And then let's watch the results of that experiment. And honestly, that is the best way to approach human design. It really is an experiment. And Ra said that. And a lot of people said, oh, but that just means he's not backing it because it's experimental. Yes, it's experiential. And he often said, don't believe a word I have to say. You need to live this. And he really was just the vehicle for bringing this through. And it's really up to each and every one of us, one human at a time. That's been very clearly stated in the human design system. This is not about homogenizing the system. It's about delivering it so that each individual person can take what they are ready to take unconsciously, where you are in your journey of life. So I just did a live on Instagram inspired by this, actually, because I've been in my own process now since the beginning of 2021, really started delving in seriously in 2022 when I discovered the primary health system within the human design body of work, and the digestion process is part of the primary health system. We'll talk a little bit about that. So why does no one want to live this aspect of their design? Because it's the hardest part. We are so deeply homogenized by food, the way we eat, all of our complex attachments, history, family units, desires around food and enjoyment. And so it's the toughest one. It's the toughest one. But honestly, if you move into having this be part of your life in an experimental light way, it will do this really slow medicine on you. I stand by that 100%. And it's not easy. But to be honest, nothing with human design is easy. It feels like it's going to be in the beginning when you just receive all this validation. But it's not easy, but it is all very, very simple. Okay. All right. Got a couple of quotes from the man himself. The first and deepest place you will become programmed in your life is around food. Think about that. Really let that land. This is the why no one applies it. The first and deepest place you'll become programmed in your life is around food. What is the first thing that happens, ideally, after you were born? What's the first thing? Oh, they cut the cord. Yeah, whatever. What's the first thing? You take your breath. Great. What's the first thing? You're popped on the mother's breast. You climb. If they let newborns that have been birthed in a natural way without trauma and stress and the hospital system getting involved, the babies will climb. They will climb their way towards the breast. It's so instinctual. Bang, conditioning. It's happening. That seeking for food. It's the most powerful stimulus on the planet. People think that it's sex and money. It's food, my friends. It's food. So PHS, primary health system, is not a diet. It is, in fact, a heretical way of life. It is going against the grain. It is going to confront you and confront your people in a way that nothing else will. And that's fun and very exciting for me because that's who I am. So I know for a lot of people, they will never even attempt to look at eating the correct way for them. But when that was the promise of this knowledge, I'm like, I'm in. And that's what really drove me. And that's part of my design. This was my window into human design. And so just trust, just allow life to work on you, allow things to come into your awareness. And it might be something that you approach in years to come. It may not be the time. So we get to the important bit always for projectors on the next slide. I'll go to it now. No, where is it? Ah, okay. The invitation. It's too far in. Okay, the invitation. We need to have this now. I'm going to reshuffle my slides after I've done this. Everything that you're going to hear is an invitation. Okay, this may begin to land now. It's merely planting seeds. How much you water those seeds, how much you want to cultivate those seeds is completely up to you wherever you are in your journey. Okay, dietary regimen is not going to do anything for you if you can't operate according to your strategy and authority. That's the first thing. If you are not already on board enough to go, okay, as a projector, my strategy is wait for the invitation. That's not easy. So as long as you are in your process of in your day-to-day going, am I waiting or am I initiating? Am I waiting to be invited or am I reacting and responding? As long as you're at that stage in your journey, you are living your strategy and authority. It doesn't have to be rock solid. Your authority depends. Are you emotional? Are you splenic? Are you mental? Are you ego projected? Are you self-projected projector? That's your authority. It won't because the very decision to do it, eat correctly according to your design, if your inner authority goes, then don't do it. I don't know if that made sense, but basically, if you come to this masterclass and you take it intellectually and go, okay, now I must do this as my mind is telling me I'm going to do this. I admit that there is an aspect of that early in your process will need to come on board. You sort of take the decision to do it first. And we're programmed that decision is coming from our mind, okay? But as you're walking your prescribed dietary regimen, you're allowing your strategy and authority to walk it day by day, meal by meal, moment by moment. Okay? It's not about me, Ra, saying you have to do this, or me. It's not about me saying you have to do this. It's not true. This is not what this is about. It's not about being sheep. This is the anti-sheep movement you are in. We are not about being sheep and being in homogenized matrix-like construct thinking. It's not about following orders. It's not about having any generalization because we're all unique, and the way in which you approach anything has to be correct for you, regardless of who is putting whatever up in front of you. Ra Uru Hu, the ultimate authority on human design, this is his system that he has brought in. If something doesn't resonate with you, that's okay. He still stands by what he has delivered. And what you might find is if you stick with it, as you decondition, as you take off those layers of not self, of who you thought you were supposed to be, a new part of you will meet the knowledge of human design, will meet the aspects of your design and go, oh, that's just naturally started coming through. Isn't that interesting? And that's the experiment of all of this. So please, of all the topics within human design, this one, be patient, hold it with gentle hands, be open, be curious, and be experimental. Take it from a third line. We are the experimenters. Now, let's see if I can go back and I'll reorder my slides. Okay, what we will cover, because I like to give you a breakdown of what you can expect in this masterclass. So what we will cover is internal determination of the primary health system. Internal determination is just the human design speak for digestion. Our internal, what internally determines our unique expression in the world. At a future masterclass, we'll be doing external determination. What determines externally our uniqueness in the world? And that's our human design environment. Another great topic, but it's got nothing on this one. So internal determination is your digestive process, okay? Food is the biggest influence on homogenization. Biggest. Neural shutdown. We're going to talk about this idea of neural shutdown and what's happening to our kids. And this is a big part of the knowledge that is just over everybody's head. And as a Beyond 2027 spokesperson, this is the stuff we really, really need to focus on. Ra said many times, this knowledge is not for us, it's for the future generations. So this is really about our kids and creating a new way for them that's going to serve them better than how we've been served. So they don't have to decondition like we have. They just get to be raised correctly for their design. How amazing is that going to be? Cognition and its role in unique self-reflected consciousness. This is the outcome. This is the point of all the human design stuff. It's so your cognition, your way of seeing, your way of thinking, your way of executing your outer authority, your opinion, your genius, your gift, your guidance as a projector. That is the final step after you've done all of the washing and rinsing and cleansing and clearing and calibration of your vehicle. Okay. So PHS is a bit of a back door, stage entry door into the workings of all this and will accelerate your process. It is absolutely core knowledge for projectors, which is why I'm delivering it inside this membership, because that is just not recognized enough, in my opinion. And of course, the bit that you all want most of all, you want to know more about yourself, because we're all still behaving like generators that love to know about themselves. We're about the others, guys, but you need to know about yourself. That's why you're here. It's part of the process. You will want to know about the 6 digestive types and their senses. So you will know what digestive type you are. It's already very easy to find this. Ra used to not publish this information easily because in his process of sharing this knowledge, PHS was advanced stuff. And it came later also in his own study and sharing and cultivation of this system. So he also premised this by saying you need your strategy and authority in place. PHS is not something that you bring in at the beginning. You need strategy and authority to guide you through your PHS. That's an important step. And that's why he didn't share it prematurely. But he also said it's of huge value for projectors because we don't have an easy access to our strategy and authority because it requires so much waiting. It requires so much disconnection on how we've been trained in the opposite direction of being manifestors and executing and implementing and initiating and being generators and responding and reacting and working. Okay? Okay, let's keep going. Okay, now we're going to just take a little step back to our most recent topic that we covered because these are yoked together. These are interrelated, which is why this is the perfect time to bring in digestion. Perception or view. So if you have not watched the masterclass yet on your human design perception, how you are designed to see, please watch that. And I never in a million years would have thought that I would present that information before digestion. But I think for projectors, it actually makes sense because we're so intellectual and mind driven how we see things that to break that down a little bit first and to kind of shatter what you think that all means is of value before I then bring in the secret sauce of how you can feed your perception to see more clearly. My hand gestures are really on fire today. I'm in Italy. That's okay. I'm being conditioned too, see? All right, perception. This is revision, hopefully. Perception, and this is part of the rave psychology. This is the magic square on the conscious personality side of your chart. Okay, this will make sense in a sec. If it doesn't, go and watch the previous masterclass. Perception establishes the way in which your mind will conceptualize. It orchestrates how you see in the world. The how is more important than the what. Now, we had the 6 different views or perspectives. Survival, these are not in order. Survival, possibility, maybe they are. Power, probability, no, they're not. Wanting and personal. These are the 6 views. You have one of these 6 and you have a transference, a distracted view, which is the polar opposite. It sounds complicated, and that masterclass, there were a lot of questions, a lot of inquiries, a lot of reflections that actually churned up in many of the members here. So that's okay, and it's very expected. But let's get it really, really simple. Let's get rid of the complexity of all of that and the overthinking of all of that content. And remember this, perception is just eating correctly for your type. And that's what we're going to learn about today. This part, though, is impossible for most. And I'll give you the dirty telescope analogy because I love this. So perception is just eating correctly. And you've got to imagine that your vehicle, your vessel, your ability to see how you were designed to see, your specific telescope, it's like looking through a dirty lens. So eating correctly is like cleaning that telescope so that you get clarity and precision in what you're seeing. So that's why they go together. You can know your perception and your view all you like, but if that telescope stays dirty, you are never going to reach the refinement and the level of acuity that is really possible for you. And what that then means is, which I think is the worst bit, is that perhaps what you then share with others, your guidance, your insight, your expertise, your mastery, your outer authority may actually be incorrect, slightly off, and that's going to be a problem for the others, which means it's also a problem for you. So we want to make sure that telescope is as clean as possible. And the pathway to that is our dietary regimen or digestion. Okay, PHS. PHS is primary health system. The primary health system has 2 ingredients, internal and external determination. The primary health system is summarized by this block at the top of your design side. Primary health, design, body. It's all body stuff, okay? The other side, the personality side, rave psychology. It's all that construct of the costume that we wear and the persona that we are. So this is really the mechanics of the body, and this is my passion piece with human design. So internal determination is your digestion. The internal determination is described in your design by your sun, earth on your design side. Sun, earth placements, meaning when we look at your chart, where was the sun and where was the earth in regards to the gates when you were designed, not born, designed, 88 days prior to when you were born, okay? This lower aspect here are the nodes, the north and south nodes. This comprises our external determination, our environment, our movement through the world, okay? When you were designed, not when you were born. Okay, 88 days. All these points were fixed 88 days prior to birth. Okay. All right. Now, what else are we talking about with internal determination? The sun, earth is the brain system. Now, if you want to think about the body and its operating, where is all that coming from? The brain system, the central nervous system, the neurological connection. The brain is driving it all. You don't have a brain functioning anymore, the body doesn't work. Okay, so it's about the brain system. So color, now these terms were confusing. They just let them be there. You don't have to understand them intellectually. Just start getting familiar with this language and it will come together in its beautiful way. So color is just the descriptive word that Ra used to describe the different layers within the design depth, okay? And it does come from crystals. But if I take you to crystals, we're going to lose you today. So let's just stick with where we are. So color gives your digestive type. Now, I've talked about this before. You've got all of these numbers with all these decimal places. Okay, so a little bit of reminding again, or you may be hearing this for the first time, depending on where you're at. So 43, for example, is the gate. Okay, this is the gate. If you are a little bit lost over in Richard Rudd's gene keys system, there is some overlap, but he refers to these as gene keys. Okay, he is an off-spin from human design. Human design, this is a gate. It's the 64 gates, keys of the I Ching. This is where these come from. So 43 is the gate, okay? 0.5, what's the 5? The 5 is the line. So we've got the gate, a more subtle layer is the line. We've then got 0.6. What's the 6? Color, more subtle layer. We're going deeper. What is deeper to color? The 1, tone. And then finally, we have the base. Okay? So color, 6th color, 1st tone is my internal determination. And we'll talk about that. Okay? So you don't have to know this. This is just when you get the summary that says that you are appetite, it's coming that your 1st color in this, and you'll see the 0.1. So unless you're studying human design, you don't need to know this. But I like to know where things come from, and we're all different. So I'm just explaining that that's where it comes from, because I am the right angle cross of explanation. All right, tonal fixing. What's the tone? Tonal fixing. This number, the tone, will determine if the arrow goes left or right. So the first 3 numbers, if it's a 1, a 2, or a 3, you're going to get a left-facing arrow, okay? If we look down here, this is not my internal determination anymore. This is my environment. But tone for me is 5th tone, that 5. And there we go. 4, 5, or 6, you're going to result in a right-facing arrow. This is where the arrows come from, guys. It's fun, isn't it? Okay, so the tonal fixing left or right gives a sub-classification of your digestive type. Okay, tone. Tone describes a sensory modality. It's one of the six senses related to what you kind of take in. I like to think of it as your little spidey sense. We all have our own special spidey sense that's intimately linked to our cognition, and it gets uniquely fed by your digestion. They are intimately related. So if you're eating right, you're feeding your spidey sense correctly, and that's going to open up your cognition and your perception to be correct. Okay? So it operates through the six senses, and this will also be detailed in your advanced human design chart. So you will we'll talk about them anyway. So I won't go into anything until we've got the slides on the screen. Keep it simple. So all of this is more about how you eat rather than the food itself. And I think that that is one of the areas that has really just smashed some massive paradigms in the health and wellness space. These arguments that are going to go on until the end of time about vegan versus paleo versus gluten-free versus lactose-free, it's not about the food. You are going to have evidence within your body related to food for sure. But that is secondary, tertiary to the how. The what is less important. If you start doing the how right, you will find that the what starts to loosen up a little bit, and things that maybe didn't agree with you suddenly agree with you. And maybe things that used to agree with you don't agree with you anymore. So the how is the bit that you really want to focus on. And that's really liberating. I love that. When correct, the brain will take what it needs to express your unique perception and sharpen your strategy and authority. So, this is why it's of such value for projectors. Because when we have such a frustrating strategy and authority, let's call it what it is frustrating because it is so out of kilter with how the world operates and how we think we're supposed to show up and be in the world and do in the world. Our PHS gives us a little bit extra volume on being able to calibrate and align with that waiting for the invitation. And it tunes up that splenic whisper or that awareness of that emotional waveform that's constantly going on within you if you're emotional. Okay? For example. So this to me, this is core knowledge for projectors. Core. And then it's up to you if you want to apply it in your life and experiment with it. Okay, let's go into this leftness or rightness. So just quickly to remind you where this is coming from, these are these arrows. Now, this theme of leftness or rightness continues across the whole body graph, the whole human design construct that you have, because we will have leftness and rightness throughout our entire chart. But within variable, there's another term for you, variable. Variable is simply the combination of your primary health system on your design side, these two arrows, and your rave psychology on your personality side, the arrows over there, which are for motivation and perception. Okay, so variable is the combination of these, and we will definitely be doing a talk on this. The main thing I want you to take from that is that we have all got leftness and rightness within us. And the important thing is where those lefts and rights are placed and what you might have a little bit of a majority of. Okay, so let's talk about leftness and rightness. And leftness is leftness no matter where it appears. The theme is the same. Rightness is rightness no matter where it appears. The theme is the same. Let's really get into what these themes are. Leftness, a left-facing arrow, is always meaning focused, strategic, active. Okay? With respect to the primary health system and your brain cognition, your brain system, your digestion, this means you have a busy brain. Now, all projectors probably think they have a busy brain, but they're busy in different ways. This is overtly busy on focused work. Okay? Busy brain based on physiology, if that brain has a high metabolic load, if it's churning over, the brain wants glucose. That's the brain's primary food. So guess what? That's going to be a hungry brain. You need to eat. You need a regular glucose source. You're going to be one of those hangry people. You're looking at one right here. I have a left internal determination. My digestive type is left fixed. So if you're left fixed, you're very likely to be hangry. I'm sitting here now going, I should have snacked before this. You're one of those people that you just need regular glucose. You're a snacker. Guess what? That's okay. We're going to move into the homogenizing stuff soon. Please, 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 especially if you are left and you are one of the lower three types, the lower three colors, which we're going to talk about shortly, fasting really is not good for you. It is not good for you. Beware prolonged fasting. It's very damaging to your process, to your body. It's not what you're here for. Now, rightness and right-brained people are very, very interesting in a whole different way. They are receptive and peripheral. I've intentionally not put passive here, but that's another keynote that is used because passive in the brain system sounds dopey. It sounds like they're less intelligent than a left, and it's not correct at all. It is a different form of intelligence, and it is where we're all heading. Okay? I'll leave that there. So the rightness, a right brain takes it all in unconsciously. The best example I can give is a left brain and a right brain are sitting next to each other and they're looking at a landscape. And the left brain will be asked about things in the landscape while it's looking at it. And it's like, yep, I can answer all those questions. The right brain, just leave them alone. Okay, just let them do their thing that they don't even know they're doing. Then if you take both of them into a room afterwards, away from the landscape, you will ask the right person and the left person questions about the landscape. You will now get more detail of the specific colors and tones and brightnesses of that scenery from a right than you will from the left, because the left was only focused on specific things and the left won't remember details anymore. But the right has literally taken like a photographic image and then the information needs to be drawn, retrieved from a right. It's a very, very different way of operating. And fasting for the rights are less of an issue. This is a brain that just sort of takes it all in. It's more of the Italian lifestyle pace, this brain. And so it can, not that Italians like fasting, but it's less of an issue. This brain is not like hyper-focused. It's a receptive brain, so it doesn't have that metabolic demand. So fasting is less of an issue for this brain. Okay, homogenization and conditioning. Bam! Let's put the Macca's photo up. This is extreme, but take this on. Listen to what I have to say here because we don't even see it and it's all around us. This is not about good or bad food. This is about the consequences of eating homogenized diet, of eating sameness. This is going on from cradle to grave. We are conditioning from the moment that that kid is born. It's already starting. In fact, you could even argue it's starting in the womb with mummy's conditioning and what she does or doesn't eat or thinks she should or shouldn't eat during her pregnancy. Type of food. It's the types of food that are homogenizing us. We are starting to all eat very same. Like you think, oh no, but there's vegans, there's this, but they are identifying with a type of food, okay? The ways we eat are homogenized and conditioning. This is the really entrenched stuff, and this is the stuff that is going to be very triggering. Meal times. Who said we are supposed to eat 3 meals a day? Who said that? The Industrial Revolution said it because it's very convenient to put humans in factory settings to generate work, Hi, manifestors and generators. Thanks for creating that for us. Doesn't work for projectors. Anyway, that whole system that really was birthed through manifestors getting a whole bunch of generators into factories to do the work day, the 9 to 5, suddenly we went into breakfast, lunch, and dinner mode. And we all just had to fit into that. Meal types. What is breakfast food? Why can't I have breakfast cereal at night? I used to do that all the time. All the time. Like, why can't I have ice cream in the morning? I live in Italy now. I have cake and biscuits for breakfast. And that's okay. And I'll tell you why when we get to the digestive types. Traditions, celebrations, religious significance. This is all conditioning and homogenizing the way that we're eating. Okay, imagine all of, I'm going to get controversial here, but imagine all of those 1 to 3 color types with left fixed brains, hungry brains, busy brains that are doing Ramadan. Why are they being subjected to that? The rights are going, yeah, this is great. Do you see what I mean? I'm not saying religion is bad or this is wrong. I'm just saying it's homogenizing. It's saying that you must fit into this box if you belong to this group. And that's why the digestive types are heretical knowledge. It's saying you don't belong in a box. You are your own box. There is no box created for you other than this that you were put into for this lifespan. The outcome of all of this that we don't necessarily recognize, and I hope you open your goggles to it now, the outcome is tribal, cultural, societal, entrenched behaviors and norms. And if you deviate from that, you are rejected. You are outside the tribe. And our very old seven-centered primal programming tells us that that's dangerous if we're out from the tribe. We won't get fed, we won't get sheltered, we won't get protected. That way is over. Please believe me, it is over. We are smashing and breaking up that paradigm. You can actually be ahead of that curve, or you can pretend that we're in the old way. And I know right now in this era, it's very, very challenging, but that is why human design is here. It's to show us that the only way forward is in your uniqueness, because those constructs are crumbling anyway. And the only way to be fully yourself, which is what all the whole self-development era is about, be your best self, unlock your gifts, blah, blah, blah. It's this. It's that you are designed to be unique, to stand alone. But doesn't mean you're alone, because when you embrace your uniqueness, your fractal, not your tribe, your fractal will come around you. And then we're all getting to benefit because everybody's going to be working and playing to their genius, and no one's going to be doing shit that they were never supposed to do based on their design. So it's about stepping out. It's about being controversial. It's about standing apart. And if you were born as a projector, you more than most are here to stand apart from the crowd and embrace your uniqueness. It's essential. And that will happen in your own time. It's okay. Be patient with this process. The outcome is locking us, more importantly, our kids, out of their full neurological potential and the unique perspective, expression, and assignment that they were designed for. I just want to let that land. This knowledge is here for the future generations. They're going to need it more than us. And if this homogenized food is what they're eating, we are dumbing them down in the most abusive way, because we're locking them out of their true gifts and potential. And we don't even know that we're doing it. If they choose Macca's, great, strategy and authority, but it's messy times. Okay, the invitation, probably worth meeting this invitation again and just going, okay, these are not orders, but this is an invitation. Okay, let's give you a messy diagram, but it's So beautiful because the detail in this is really key. I don't want you to focus on anything on the outsides here. I want you to focus on this center square. Actually, in hindsight, I probably should have just cropped this so that you just got that. But this is the original material, and I don't want to dumb anything down for projectors. Okay, design internal. Okay, the external is environment. We're going to get to that. Primary health system curriculum. Saved my life. That's why I'm here. Okay, so this is what we're going to focus on. So this is the internal design. Now let's just have a look at the components of this chart because there's a lot of gold in it. So we talked about color being what determines your digestive type and tone determining your sensory modality and your left and right fixing. Where are we finding the colors? These numbers here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, leading up to the top. The tones are not, they're on here in their way, but we have everything that is pulling us left. The left tones are going to be on this side. If you've got the left facing arrow, these are going to be the tonal theme. And on the right side, this is going to be the tonal theme to the right, okay? And what this does is it gives you your subcategory of your digestive type. Because if you just learn, for example, that you're thirst and you don't know or apply that you are hot or cold and you're really damaging the whole process. It's pointless. You may as well not even do it. You need to know your subcategory. That leftness and rightness is super important. Okay. All right. So from here, we're going to go into also this nuance of conditions and circumstances. I'm going to speak about this as we go. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else that I wanted to go through. So the 6 digestive types become 12 digestive types, really. But the core types are appetite, taste, thirst, touch, sound, and light. Okay. And then you will be one or the other, depending on your leftness or rightness, the direction of your arrow. The other thing I want to say, and we'll talk to this as we go through, we are moving up an evolutionary process. Okay. Our evolution, our genetic evolution is imprinted in our design. And the scientist, the molecular biologist in me loves this. And this is why I paid attention to this knowledge. So we're starting more primitive down here, always. The one first color, first throughout the entire human design system, the one most primitive, going all the way through to the 6, which is basically our direction of evolution. Okay. And the 6th is, it's not the most evolved. It's not that this person is better than a 1. We are carrying all of this in varying combinations. And that's why we're living in such an exciting time in human design. Where is the direction? Evolution. Okay. So we are moving away from and towards. Okay. This didn't need to be in here. A distraction. Okay, let's go through these. So hopefully at this stage, you know, if you don't know what your digestive type is, quickly go and find out. It's very, very easy. You can go to mybodygraph.com is the best one because that's human design software, and you will find out what type you are. So once you know, come back and let's dive into these. So first color is appetite. Now, appetite, you are either consecutive or alternating, and they're very different. So you need to know which one you are. So let's look at first color, and I want you to start joining the dots. They're going to start joining themselves of these themes, okay? Because you start to see the coherence with the different layers of human design and how it all kind of comes together. It's beyond quantum. It's so deep. It's your unique recipe, but all of them have themes, and that theme will be replicated and repeated in different levels and aspects of your human design. So first color. Now, where else do we see the 1? First line. This is investigator. So you might be a line 1. Just say that you're a 1-4. You're an investigator networker. Okay. Investigator is the line 1. What is that? What is about the investigator? The 1 line? Focused. The 1s are really about going in deep. They are about getting rid of the distracted periphery and really mastering something. This is the 1 theme. And we're going to see this repeated. We learned about perception previously. Now, if you are a first color perception, your survival. Isn't that the most primitive way of seeing the world? Survival. That's where we begin. It's survival strategy. So the 1, the most primitive, the most narrow, the most cave-like. Okay? None of these terms are here to insult anybody, but it starts to make sense why Ra has very intentionally used these terms. Caves is also first color in environment, and we're going to talk about that next month. So from the digestive point of view, it's the hunter archetype. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to eat meat. Remember, it's not about the what. It's not about the food. It's about how you are supposed to eat. You're supposed to eat like a hunter. How did hunters eat? They ate what they had caught in front of them. They ate that. And that's all they ate. Okay? Until they hunted again and then they ate that. Are you understanding a theme here? Consecutive. This means that. So, yeah, it's the most primitive type. Okay. And I'll say that it's the most dramatic when it's applied. So, if you're a first color, Ra said that those that were experimenting with this, they had the most dramatic results because theirs is the most primitive. It's where we've moved the furthest from in the way that we eat now in modern life. Okay. So if you're a first color, play with this privately, at least. So this is also about conditions. Okay. So if we just go back to the distraction, the conditions, these are the lower ones, conditions. So if we think about appetite and we think about consecutive alternating, this is the conditions of kind of what we're eating. Okay, the conditions of what we're eating, of how we're eating. So this is gonna it's gonna come. Just be patient. All of this is going to start to thread together. We're going through 6 of these, so this is just the first one. So if you are left arrow and you are first color, you are appetite consecutive. You are designed to be a consecutive eater, and that means, and why this is in bold and all caps, 1 thing at a time. 1 thing at a time. I'm sure there's some first colors that just go, yeah, I love that. That sounds so good. I love the simplicity. But depending on how deeply conditioned you are, and no one eats like this until you're told that this is a possibility for you. So for example, Ra gave this really extreme example. If you're craving salt, then just take a pinch of salt and put it on your tongue and then see what's next. But that's how this is consecutive. You literally eat 1 type of food at a time. So I also like to think of the consecutive people or even the appetite people. I think unconsciously, these could be the people that are very funny about their food touching. So these are the ones that have to finish this first, finish this too. If you have a child that does this, please don't stop them. They're doing something correct. Even though they've been given a plate of mixed foods, they're naturally doing something correct for them. And our kids will be the ones leading this. And we do so much damage by saying, no, don't do that. You're supposed to eat like this. And we get to that. So 1 thing at a time. So if you have 3 types of food on your plate, then you eat all the broccoli, and then you eat all the beans, and then you eat the ice cream or whatever it might be, for example. Okay, so it's 1 thing at a time. If you're right facing, you get to alternate. So you can have a piece of broccoli, and then you can have a mouthful of beans, and maybe then you'll have some ice cream, and then you'll have some more beans. And that's okay. That's good for you. That's alternating. So you're just moving between the different foods. Okay. But the main thing to remember is these are really simple foods. Okay. It's simple, it's primal, it's basic, it's primitive, simple, basic foods. You are not really designed to eat complex, rich kind of sauces and condiments and lots of like crazy soup even, unless it's all blended. Like it's just really simple stuff. So yeah, that's appetite, consecutive and alternating. Just drop the first grenade. Let's move on to the next one. I'm keeping this fairly simple, okay? You're gonna have a million questions, but that's really all you need to know. Start moving in that direction if you are um, consecutive or alternating appetite, if you're first color digestive type. Let's move on to number 2, taste. If you are digestive type taste, you will be open taste or closed taste. Now, second, 2, what's the 2 mean? Second color. Let's talk about also the line. What's the 2 in human design? What's the 2 theme? Hermit is the line theme. What's a hermit? The hermit is the person that locks themselves away from the rest of the world and is very, very specific about when they open the door. The second line person is designed to answer the call. They're not here for everything. They're supposed to sit in their little hermitage and recognize the call and go do that. And only that. You see this theme, open, closed taste? Possibility is the perception. That's possible. That's not. They're not probability people. Possible or not. Okay. So markets is the environment. All right. Markets is a little bit more communal than what a cave is. Markets, though, are seasonal traditionally. Okay, this is the gatherer archetype. This one is really fun. So these guys are rigid and repetitive. These are the ones that can eat the same meals year in, year out, possibly with a little bit of rotation. More often, if it's correct, it's more like seasonal rotation. Okay, eating seasonally is very, very important for these people. The conditions of the food. So we've still got this conditions. This is one of the lower 3. This is about conditions, not circumstance. The conditions of the food for these guys is very, very, very specific. So specific that they will need to eat a certain brand of a food. So just say peanut butter. You notice too, I'm not talking about health foods here. This is not healthy food, bad food. Human design doesn't really talk about that. Of course, that's important, but human design doesn't talk about it. So peanut butter. People, these guys, there'll be one brand of peanut butter, and that's the only brand that they'll use. That's the only brand that they will like. That's the only brand that agrees with them. Another brand will give them a rash, indigestion. They won't enjoy it, whatever it might be. It's brand specific. It's seasonal. Local produce, eating locally is really important to these people. It's not about going to the supermarket when you are in Australia is a great example. Kiwi fruits and the Italian kiwi fruits are there in Australia. No, it's not local, it's not seasonal if you are this person, okay? So it's very, very important. Go to your farmer's market. Market. There's hints all through human design, okay? All right, the babies are the ones I love to talk about they're the best example of this, and we've all seen this. We've all seen this, whether you've been a parent or not. So babies, so if you are left fixed, you're open. If you are right fixed, you are closed. So left fixed means they are literally opening their mouth for everything. An open taste baby will be up for everything, but they will spit it out just as quickly as soon as it hits their mouth if it's not for them. So they're open until they're not. And then after they've spat it out, they won't touch that food again. They're not meant to. Trust the baby. The baby is less conditioned than you are. So that's correct for them. Now, what if they're a right taste baby, a closed taste baby? They're not going to open the mouth at all. They're the ones that go when you're trying to, get that broccoli or that mash or whatever you're trying to put in them to nourish and grow them. They will be closed. They won't even let the spoon in. They're not here to try things. They're the annoying people that you take to an exotic restaurant that are just like going to say no before they even walk in the door. They know what they like and don't try and force them otherwise. And what do? Try it, Johnny, try it. Sarah, we're always trying to force our kids. Now, for other kids, that's fine. That's why it's important to know your kid's design. Know what you're working with here, what you are growing, what you are nurturing. Because if they are closed tastes, let them be. If they're open taste, give them that variety and then believe them when they spit it out and don't make them eat it again. So these are the fussy eaters into adulthood. These guys, though, need a lot of deconditioning because they've often been forced to eat things that are not good for them. And they have to unpack that once they learn that this is an aspect of their design. Their experiment is relearning what is actually good and bad for them again, because they were maybe forced to eat a lot of things and made to believe that this was good and they should eat it. A lot of people like this feel very liberated. They're like, I knew I never liked it. And maybe in adulthood, they stop eating it. But as a child in the family home, remember that homogenization, that tribal conditioning, that box, that being safe in the tribe, they had to eat what was on their plate. And guess what? Everybody had the same thing on their plate. I'll rephrase that. In the 80s and 90s, I reckon we all had the same thing on our plates. In the 2000s, I reckon families probably sit down and little Johnny's got something different to little Jackie. But isn't that good? We're moving in the right direction, rightly or wrongly. So fussy eaters, they are just discerning eaters. So the lefts try everything once. The right will be fine, not even trying something. So don't force them. These guys are fun. Okay. Next layer. Before we go to the next layer, I just want to bring us back to this. So you see, this is rigid and primitive. Our appetite and our taste, guys, hunter-gatherer, rigid, primitive. These are the archetypes. Hunter-gatherer, think the gatherer, market produce, seasonal produce, okay? Now we're going to move up into the next level, the 3 and the 4. And we're moving across this boundary line between conditions. So we've got one more condition, and this one's a really easy one to really land. What are conditions in your awareness? And then we're going to move to circumstances, which is more about the environment, the atmosphere that you are eating in. So this next group, though, are going to be more manipulative, energetic. This will make sense as well in a sec. So we're at a transition point. All right. This was very, very amusing for me to re-find this image actually this morning, because I had this image in my image files from right back when I was originally studying digestion, and it never made it into a presentation or anything. And what it's really about is it's kind of about breastfeeding, and so that's why I really like it. But it's also, she's holding a mug, there's milk in it, hot and cold thirst. So this image is perfect for this. And I deleted it thinking I'm not going to use that. And then this morning when I was preparing my slides and finalizing my pictures, I'm like, that's the perfect image for this slide. And I had it all along, and now I just need to find it again, and I did. And so I'm really pleased. So third color, thirst. Okay, liquids are going to be a thing here. What are the lefts and rights? Left is hot, right is cold. Okay, third color. Let's just get into the 3, the third line, the third color. 3. Third line, this one's a little bit trickier. Third line is really, it's the mater, it's the material plane, okay? It's the most gross level of the material plane is third line, third line, third line is all like the Maya, okay? The physical world, matter. So the perception is power. How appropriate is that perception with our material world? Yeah, these go together. The environment of third color is kitchens. Kitchens, I had to do my own journey through this because I'm kitchen environment. Kitchen is urban, the most urban, human, constructed places that you can imagine, places of transformation. Okay, so it's factories, it's workshops, it's places where things get transformed, but kitchens is the keynote that's been used. Okay, what is the archetype? Transformer. How do we transform food? Through heating. It's the first thing we started doing, is it not? We now chill things because we have modern technology. But back in the day when we were just starting to discover fire, we began to cook food. So this is transformation, moving food from a room temperature, ambient temperature to heating. And that changed a lot. So this is about, and finally, the last one, of the condition of the food, and it relates to temperature. Liquids are going to be important to be aware of as well. Okay. So this is all about weak versus strong digestion. And I loved this as well because I came also through the Ayurvedic system. And in Ayurveda, it's really important to understand the art, the what's the word? I've got all these other keynotes in my head. The digestive fire. I want to say Anyi, but it doesn't sound like I'm saying it right. That's okay. The digestive fire. Okay. Traditional Chinese medicine has this as well. We recognize in those systems that you need heat for digestion. Okay. So much so that traditionally in India, like gelato and ice cream is not really a thing they do. They have a version of that, but it's often got warming spices in it. And that's what makes it Ayurvedic and appropriate. But there are basically hot constitutions and cold constitutions. And human design describes this. These people are designed this way. And it comes down to a digestive fire that needs heat. Okay, these people are going to be the hot type. They need to take in that heat from outside in order to digest well, in order to burn and produce the nutrients from that burning that their cognition uniquely needs. We have the other type, which are the cold. They carry too much fire. They carry too much digestive power that they're just burning everything off. And then there's no nutrition left for that cognition. So they need cooling to just get that right balance. Okay. So you can think of this as weak versus strong digestion. So the guys that are hot have really weak digestion. So the hot liquids are going to be even more important for them. Hot liquids are really important. Soups, because they don't have a lot of digestive strength. Okay. The cold guys, they're almost too strong in their digestion. Okay. These guys can live on ice cream. Perfect. See, now sometimes these types aren't a bad thing. Okay, it allows the body and the brain system to access what it needs from the food. It's manipulating. Remember, we talked about manipulation. It's manipulating the conditions of the food for the survival of the organism and the brain system to be fed correctly. But what is hot and cold? And this is a little detail that gets missed if you're just stuck in surface level human design. Hot means above body temperature. Above body temperature. Cold means below body temperature. Okay, so I've got two fun examples of this. I have a nephew who I've been observing for almost 5 years now, which is interesting. So he's 8. So, since he was about 3. Kids are the ones to really watch and observe with this knowledge, because you see them change according to conditioning. Now, he's a projector, and I only just found this out actually at his recent birthday, because I don't know, there's just the right moment to arrive. I was cunning enough. I got in the conversation quick enough to ask his mum what time he was born. And then, of course, I went home because I want to know. And I was really surprised to find out that he's a projector. And now, so of course, I'm hawk-eyes on him all the time. And I see these different qualities, but I see the conditioning working on him as well. And the moment that the thing that really struck me the most was we've observed that Mattia has been putting on weight, and he's becoming a fat kid, which in Italy is actually very unusual. And in our family is very, very unusual. His grandfather is very lean, although he's been overweight in the past, but his body constitution is lean. My partner's body constitution is lean. The Pugliese are lean people, generally speaking, in their constitutional state. They're small, lean people. And Mattia is actually very small. He's small for his age. He's one of the smallest in his class, but he's getting fat. And so I was like, okay, how have we been feeding this kid for the last 8 years? And this kid is cold. No, he's hot thirst. He's hot thirst. Now, I've I've watched, and it's interesting because he drinks a lot at meal times. And part of me is like, wow, he shouldn't be drinking that much at meal times. He's overfilling his belly, he's diluting his digestive enzymes, but he drinks a lot. So this liquid thing is a thing for him, and that's okay. But then I've realized that some of the foods, he's a kid, all kids are fussy, and some of the foods that he likes the most are actually not serving him. Like of course, every time now I see him eating gelato, I'm just like, oh, cringe. Like give him some ginger with that or something to try and heat it up. And also mozzarella. He loves fresh mozzarella. Cold, cold, cold. So he takes in a lot of this cold fluid, and often the water that he's drinking is also cold. He was having a lot of problems with constipation. A lot of problems with constipation. Now I can see why. And less so now, but now he's putting on weight. His body is constipated in a different way because he's not actually regulating his digestion in the right way. So it's interesting to observe this. It's heartbreaking to observe it because you see how if you don't know better, you can't do better. And it is what it is. Have I been invited to be an authority on my nephew's nutrition? No. So I can't say anything because I haven't been invited. Breastfeeding. Oh, this is a fun one. So imagine the child that is cold thirst, that is supposed to be consuming cold liquids, that the first thing we do with that child is we pop them on warm breast milk. And this is the thing, like for the longest time, breast is best, breastfeeding. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not saying that it's not. But isn't it interesting that we're moving through this transition, this evolution, and we no longer just have breast milk to nourish our babies? We now have formula feeding, which is becoming more and more popular. We have more and more babies that are intolerant to breast milk, intolerant to breast milk. Why would that be? We have more and more mothers that are having struggles with breastfeeding. Why would that be? So it's very, very interesting that what we can think is best and is the way may be outdated, may be great for some people, but it's not for all of us. And that's what human design is. It's saying nothing is for all of us other than oxygen. Nothing is for all of this. And this has been coming post 1781. So you look at the Industrial Revolution, you look at how diets have changed, you look at the increase in allergy. This is all kind of happening in a natural way. And now we have the map to see it, which is what I love. I'm like, oh, I get to see the mechanics of why this is all happening. Okay, let's keep moving. As you can see, this is my favorite topic. So fourth color, touch, calm nervous. This one's a little bit interesting. So just stick with the keynotes because they've been chosen for a reason. Fourth color, fourth line, fourth color theme, fourth line. Okay. In your, if you're a 4-1, you're a networker. That fourth line is networker, opportunist. Okay. It's about the group, but it's about the correct group. The fourth color in perception is wanting. Okay, wanting everything. Opportunist, networker, wanting. And then the environment, mountains. What can you see from a mountaintop? Everything that you could possibly want. All the people that you can network with. Mountain view, fourth line. With our digestive type, touch. Okay, but it's calm, nervous touch. So this is determiner, manipulator of circumstances. So we've moved to the circumstances. So this is the introduction of this theme. So just allow, it'll make more sense as we go to the 5 and the 6. So if you are calm touch, you're meant to eat alone. You're meant to eat alone. This is the environment. It's not about you touching food. It can be, that's another layer, okay? But this is about the touch of your environment around you. Calm touch, you are meant to eat alone. Ra was calm touch. And I'm going to use Ra as an example here. So Ra was, of course, experimenting with his digestive type, but Ra was a married man with kids, with a very, very busy work life. And how can he implement calm touch? He's designed to eat alone, and he's in a family, one of the most homogenizing units we can possibly be, I don't want to say victim to, but immersed in, conditioned by. And so what was Ra's workaround? Ra's workaround was, okay, I eat, I think he ate 3 meals a day. So he would eat 2 of his meals completely alone. And his third meal he would have in the family. And that was the compromise. You see, you don't have to be perfect, but in doing your best, you're going to move the needle. And so it has to work with you. That's what his strategy and authority, that's what his circumstances allowed for and where he landed with it. If he was a bachelor living by himself, then he could eat alone and he could do that 100% of the time. But that also wasn't Ra's path, because he was supposed to have children that he could observe and a partner that he could learn different mechanics with. So it's all perfect, however it is, and we find our way. And then there's a flip side to this, which I'll get to, and that's Loki, Ra's son. So if you are right, fixed, you are nervous touch. Nervous means nervousness in the environment. Doesn't mean you need to be stressed and eat. But there's kind of this artificial agitation that kind of stresses you a little bit. But it doesn't mean that you're designed to be stressed and eat. So just disconnect them those two. It's about the environment. So what's fun about the nervous touch is this is classic conditioning of eating in groups and tribes. And Loki, Ra's son, was nervous touch. So you've got a father and son who are polar opposites. Ra really needs to eat alone. That's how he is designed to take in. And Loki needs to eat in the tribe, in the busyness, in the group. And so that's the compromise. That's the family compromise. Ra had 2 of his meals alone. He would have his evening meal with the family. Loki would be immersed in a group dynamic, for example, is one way of accessing this. Other ways of accessing this kind of agitated environment: food courts, ideal. Communal eating, sitting, if you're going to be eating alone, just say you're traveling alone or something, there's amazing places that have these communal tables. Sit there. You're meant to sit there. The calm touch people are not meant to sit there. Eating on the move. These are the people that it's quite natural for them to be driving and eating, talking and eating, like multitasking and eating, standing at the kitchen counter eating. That's okay. They're okay because it's supposed to be like a messy atmosphere. It's okay. So it's not about the food with these upper 3 colors, the 4, the 5, and the 6. It's not about the food. It's not about whether we heat the food or have it cold. It's not about seasonal produce. It's not about eating one thing at a time. All of that is the other types. This is about the circumstances, the environment, and there's a need to manipulate, there's that word manipulate, the environment for correct digestion. Okay, moving on. Just a little revision. So we've just been through thirst and touch, manipulative, energetic. We've got this boundary line between conditions and circumstance. Okay? This is the determiner. They determine the circumstances they eat in. I am putting myself isolated in a room to eat. I am determining that circumstance. I am determining that I need to go and eat lunch in a food court today rather than sit in my sad cubicle in my office job and be conditioned by that. And I'm not going to digest well. I'm better off going to the food court. And that's an interesting idea, right? Did I pack just say this is where I go with these things. Just say I'm nervous touch and I've painstakingly prepared a really healthy salad for myself because I'm trying to eat right. And then I go to my corporate job and I'm in a cubicle all day, and there could be many other layers that are messing up your design in all of that construct. But let's stick with the dietary regimen right now. So you're in your cubicle and you're like, okay, time for lunch, and you get your little salad out going, oh, I'm doing a good job. I'm eating for my health and I'm eating well for my body. And you sit in your cubicle and eat that salad. Waste of time. You would have been better off going to the food court and having a burger and chips. And yes, I said it. I have a health and wellness coach background, and I said it. This is the breaking and shattering of this incorrect conditioning, because it's not about health and wellness. It's about feeding your cognition, your ability to see correctly. And yeah, of course, you need to make sure you eat healthy food, because that's the whole body process, right? But from this piece of the knowledge, it's about feeding brain system and cognition so that you have the correct awareness, so that you see correctly. For projectors, this is absolutely essential. Okay? Let's move up to the final two, sound and light. We are moving into the most sensitive, the most evolved digestive types. Doesn't mean it's a good thing. So the fifth theme, we've got heretic, the fifth line, heretic. Okay, burn at the stake, the leader, put on the pedestal, controversial. What view do we have? Probability. The heretic is controversial. Probability is controversial. It's like risk taking. The fifth line is that wearer of projections onto them. And the fifth environment is valleys. Okay? You're down in the valley. You're hiding from everybody, from those projections. So sound. Now, sound is frequency. Okay? This is sensitive digestion. It's mutative. These top two are really just the last 300 years or so. It's super, super new. And isn't it amazing, as you'll see, that we've had the evolution in technology to support this digestive type? It's about sound frequency as a circumstance of your environment. What is the soundscape, the frequency that you are inputting when you're eating in your environment? So left is high frequency or high sound. Right fixed is low frequency or low sound. So if you are left, noise, music, podcasts, earphones, restaurant eaters, you are supposed to have noise input. Okay? Doesn't mean loud, but it means noise. It means frequency reverberating on your physical body when you are taking in. And these are ways that you can achieve this. Okay? If you are right, the opposite. You're supposed to eat in silence, monk-like. So it's very, very similar as well to our calm touch. Yes, calm touch, Ra's type, calm touch. They need to eat alone, okay? But you need to eat in silence. So sometimes that means alone. Guess what? We've got technology to support us. If you can't eat alone, noise cancelling headphones. You want to eat in a food court? That's okay. Noise cancelling headphones. But isn't that antisocial? And this is where the challenge comes with this system, because suddenly someone's going, I can't go to restaurants anymore. I can't eat with friends. It's just not healthy for you. So how do you hack it? You do it minimally. You invite your friends to circumstances that might suit you a little bit more. That's not food related. Oh, boo, let's stop doing food related activities together. Let's go for a walk, for example. So you start to just adapt and adjust your life, maybe intentionally at first, but as this starts to work through you, it starts to happen more naturally. And rather than limiting your options, which is what we think in the beginning, oh, all these things are being taken away from me. Suddenly, your truth, your way, your magic is now available and it's opening to you, rather than all the stuff that you're now missing out on. Okay? So it's just different ways of thinking about this and approaching it. Number 6, light. Direct or indirect light. And yes, light, like sunlight. 6th color. Now the six is the real mystery, because this is the future. This is where we're going. This is the last layer in this evolutionary construct. I think we have one more to go, but we never get to 11 centers. End of the game over for us. It's over. So this 6 that we're carrying is for the rave. Okay, they're the next mutation, evolution, but they're not us. They're born of us. I'm going to stop there because that's a whole other topic for us to dive into, and it's relevant. But it's a potential distraction. So, sixth theme. Okay, this is the evolutionary tipping point. This is the last frontier for us. Role model. Role model means fool on the hill. They are so calibrated to their own unapologetic uniqueness that they literally have to go and live by themselves at the top of the hill, and everyone talks about them in the little homogenized tribe. So it doesn't mean we're all role models. There are people that have this design and you see it, but they live the third line life for the first 30 years. Poor them. They have a tripartite process. Okay. Role model is not given at birth, it's earned. It needs to be moved through. Okay. This perception is personal. Of course, the role model just sees everything through their own lens. That is what the role model is here for. They're not here to lead. They're here to go, I'm doing it my way. And people go, oh, wow, I want to do that too. Not your way, but my way. That's what the role model is here to shift for us. And the environment is shores. This is about boundaries. This is about being at that frontier of what's new and different. Just like a shoreline is a point between the shore and the water, the land and the sea. And shores mean other things as well. We'll go into that in the environment talk. This is the watcher archetype. And I love that this is the watcher archetype because how do we see? With light. And these people are very light sensitive. We're like little plants. That's the way I like to think of it. But we are here because we are here to see differently and we have a different relationship to light. Okay, and that's why it's the watcher archetype. This is the most sensitive, the most modern, the most futuristic of all the digestive types. Okay, the circumstances. So we're in circumstances. Remember, this is the top three, the 4, 5, 6 are circumstances. So we had the circumstances of the kind of noise in the environment. We've just had the circumstances of, sorry, that is the noise in the environment. We've just also had the circumstances of whether you've got, it is also noise in the environment, but just the busyness, the activity around you. Okay, it's not just noise, it's agitation around you. This is circumstance, okay? Circumstance, and finally circumstances of light, of light. So if you are left, you are direct light. If you are right, you are indirect light. The lefts are predominant. This is really anchored in natural light. Please remember that, okay? Yes, we can hack it, and that's why I put artificial here. But this is really about natural sunlight. This is about feeding the brain. This is about how we eat, okay? So the set point for this is that direct light people are designed to be daytime eaters. We should be eating when the sun is around. And when the sun is not around anymore, we should not be taking in nutrition, taking in information, studying, learning. The brain system is off. Okay, indirect are the opposite. When the sun is there, they're not really designed to eat. They are designed to eat when the sun is not around. They are designed to be nocturnal. They are designed to be night shift workers. Oh, I never thought I would say that because all we see is how damaging night shift is to most of humanity. But for these guys, they're designed for it. They're designed for it. And isn't it interesting that as we've evolved, this night shift, 24-hour nocturnal phenomenon has evolved with us because we now have people that are designed for it. Let them do it. Oh, I remember the nurses that were like, oh, I love night shift, full-time night shift. I'm like, and I'm a poor direct light. And I remember in my intern year, straight out of medical school, I did surgical nights. I did 7 nights on, 7 nights, 7 days off. I did that roster for 3 months. It's a miracle I didn't die. Thank God I lived in Adelaide because if I lived in a low light country, like the damage to my vehicle, and I felt it, like night shift is horrendous for me. And I even get really angry and bitter. Like I get really wild about night shift. And that's because I'm not designed for it. It's really that simple. So I think I've mentioned these other two things. Yeah. So if you are direct light, just eat before the sun goes down. You can eat as much as you want, anything you want before the sun goes down. After the sun is not here, just say, for example, you have to. I do feel it's reached that point for me in my own process. If I have to go out for dinner, I now make lunch my thing. Lunch is my main thing. And I love that I moved to Italy because guess what, guys? Lunch is the main meal here. It's so main meal that we have siesta afterwards and everything shuts and we get to actually digest and stay in our parasympathetic nervous system. I was designed to move here. I mean, it's remarkable. And so, but if, of course, if we have an invitation for dinner, and when I say we, beautifully, my partner is also direct light digestion. How beautiful that we get to actually have that harmony within our relationship. Because what is one of the cornerstones of dating and having a partnership? It's eating together. And I'm not saying you need to go out and look for this. This is what I'm saying is this will happen naturally. That there will be this natural resonance. Your people, you will find your people. It will be organic. The biggest challenge that we have, he and I, is pizza in Italy because pizza is not eaten during the day in Italy. That's a outside of Italy phenomenon that's messed everything up. Pizza is nighttime food. So if we want a pizza, we have to eat it at night. If we want to, be living in Italy. Of course, we can go to touristic places where they're serving pizza during the day because the tourists want it. And, we can get away with that. But we're also Italians, so we eat according to our cultural homogenization as well. So anyway, what we do is I will then beeline wherever we're eating. I try and eat in the brightest lit place in the restaurant. And I generally hate bright light. This is another interesting thing. At nighttime, I hate bright light. I want to be in dim lighting. And when I reflect on all of this, and I hope this is your story too, this is what happens for you as you move through the years of this, that it all starts to just be natural and go, oh, yeah, that I'm like that anyway. Now I have permission to say, no, I'm doing me. I'm doing me, not this other way, not what everyone else thinks or what everyone else does. So I find the place where we're going to be under a bright light, and that's the compromise. It's not ideal. I notice that if I eat at night, my digestion's funky the next day. I often don't sleep well because my digestion is like, pizza is going to still be there in the morning, girl, because we don't digest now. And I've witnessed that in my body many, many times. So what's the workaround? And the same is true for the nocturnals. I've coached nocturnals and I laugh because I think I'm giving them the worst news ever because for me as a direct light, indirect light is like poison. Like I can't even imagine having that as my design because it's not. When I tell nocturnals, most of the time they're just like, they're so chill about it. They're like, yeah, that makes sense. I'm never hungry in the day and I always force myself to eat. And I love this about human design because the evidence supports itself. And so, what do these guys do? What do we have to do to manage this? If you are eating at the time that you're not eating, liquids are fine. Liquids are not included in this, okay? Because liquids are the easiest thing to digest. So, for example, if I am needing to have something at night, if I'm like, oh, my day was really disorganized, I didn't eat enough in my daylight hours, soup is great for me because it's going to be easy to digest. A smoothie is great for me, easy to digest. Fruit, because it breaks down relatively easy. It's got that sort of liquid aspect to it. That would be more borderline, but that's going to be a better choice than pizza, which is really hard to digest. Okay, it takes a lot to digest. And the nocturnal guys are going to be the opposite. They're going to have more of that liquid diet, have smoothies through your day. And I just now I'm recalling before human design, when I was doing a lot of health coaching and doing a lot of detox and different nutritional approaches, I remember I was working with a woman that was a vet. And she had a crazy schedule within the vet clinic, and we were trying to implement the detox protocol and also this healthy eating regime within the erratic nature of her work roster. And fortunately, I had an erratic work roster too, because I had been an anesthesiologist, I had done shift work. And so I said, you know what? Like, this is the formula for what you need to eat in the day, but we can change the order. So let's do that. Have your dinner first, like, have smoothies during the day because you're going to be very agitated, and then have your main meal at night. And now when I think back, I'm like, I wonder if she was a nocturnal, because it completely changed the game for her. So maybe she's nocturnal. Anyway, I digress. So I think that's everything. Now, this has been a really long talk, and that's okay. This topic is so important and it's complex, but it's simple, but it's important. Neural shutdown. Okay, this is the serious end of the stick. So that's all the instruction manual. Okay, strategy and authority. Take it through your own system and decide how you want to approach it and your experiment. Ask any questions you want to in the chat. Absolutely. I love speaking to this. Now, neural shutdown. Let's talk about the real reason that this actually matters for the future generation. We are conditioned in the womb, but for the first 7 years, our brains are designed until neural shutdown occurs. Okay, so we already know we can't escape conditioning, right? And like a baby in the womb is already being conditioned by its mother. Like that can't be escaped. We have biologically designed in us a 7-year process, and it's always in 7-year cycles, 7-year process before neural shutdown occurs, where basically that new brain is designed to access all of its design. Let's put it that way. That designed brain has got all its potential there to be fed correctly for those 7 years, because at year 7, neural shutdown occurs. Now, I'm not talking about neuroplasticity, okay? I'm talking about cognition. Due to our homogenized way of life and raising kids according to societal, cultural, homogenized rules, neural shutdown is happening at 3 years of age. And there is biological evidence of this. We are locking them out of 4 years. We are dumbing them down. We're not meaning to, but this is the consequence of ongoing homogenized approaches to how we eat and feed children and their developing brains. And we know, because we can see this, we're seeing the neurodivergency in our population. Our kids are showing it. There is merit in this knowledge to go, you know what? I want to take a priority of knowing what my child's digestive type is. And I want to actually, more than force it on them, support them with the correct circumstances or conditions and see what they do with that. Because for us, after that, you're locked out. You are locked out of your design cognitive potential, and you can't get back what was lost. For us, it's too late. And I don't like to think that in any sense, but for us, it's too late. But you can build the muscle. You can sharpen the focus, but you will never regain what that potential was in that developing brain for those first 7 years. But we can give that to our next generations. We have this map to do that. So I implore you that if you are a parent, find out what your child's digestive type is, their internal determination, because having their cognition, their brain system well expressed for their design is going to open up the rest of their life pathway to be in coherence for them. They're going to have less resistance in life. They're going to find their skills and talents. They're going to be in alignment. They're going to have less resistance, and they will be able to stand in their uniqueness and be a gift to everybody in whatever that capacity is supposed to be. Cognition and awareness. So I'll end. We're done with this quote from Ra that I've reformatted a little bit. So cognition and awareness is what this is all about. This is not about health and wellness. It's not about having a skinny body. It's not, yes, all of that might be important to you. I hope not, because the point is we're here to see and think in the correct way and have an outer authority that is a true self-reflected consciousness that is then of value for the collective experience. It's not the other way around anymore. It's not the collective dumbing us down into the box, because then we don't get all that genius that we're going to need for where we're going. So the reality is that you're either on a path that is going to take you to that place of awareness or not. And human design is a map. You cannot force yourself to do any of this from your mind. You cannot make that happen any more than you can make enlightenment happen. It doesn't happen that way. One of the most beautiful things about awareness is that awareness is not about trying to figure out what's going on. It's about watching what's going on, being receptive to what's going on, seeing it through that clean telescope, not the dirty one. And it's about recognizing what's correct for you. And that's the point. It's not about mind first and then you apply it, but you will do that. You have to do that. But what will happen is, and what I've landed in years later by being aware of my direct light digestive type, and as much as I can, aligning with that, experimenting with that, watching how my body, my brain, my ability to learn and use my outer authority, watching all that interplay through that process, I now recognize that there's value in that for me, that I function better when I actually follow my strategy and authority and my digestive type. So despite everyone else, you have to choose this for you. You have to choose it for you. This is one person at a time. And it may be amazing if you have a partner that has a similar type or that it works with, or friends, if you can find that out. But trust that life is walking this with you. Surrender to the process and experiment with this according to your own yes. And it has to be despite everyone else. You have to be willing, like that sixth line, that frontier, that role model. You have to be willing as a projector, more than anything else, to be that fool on the hill, to stand apart so that we can all better stand together. This is the heretical life of dietary regimen, and why it is so controversial, and why most people will never address it, they will never live it, and they will never fully live their full potential in their human design. And that's why Ra said, I mean, this is one of the reasons why Ra said, it's the 4% of the 4%. 4% of the population will probably even get access to the human design system. And of all those people that get access to it, 4% are going to do anything worthwhile with it. Be part of that 4%. We need as many of the 20% projectors in that 4% as possible. And I get emotional talking about this because this is the whole emphasis and reason behind the Phoenix Collective, is to get as many of the 20% of projectors in this 4% as we possibly can, because that's the pathway forward. If we're not right, how can we guide when everyone's going to be looking to their guidance because they haven't done this work, because they haven't had this cultivation? Where are their projectors going to be? I hope they're going to be in this room with us, or at least in a room that has served them, so that they can be part of that 4%. So that's the end. That's it. I hope that this has been of value. Take this in like everything else. Surrender to it. Let it wash over you. Play with it. And next month, we're going to be talking about the theme of play and why it's so important for projectors. Thank you so much for being here. You have the replay. You can watch this over and over again and allow it to land and sink in different ways, particularly because of those line themes, those color themes. They repeat at all different levels within the human design system. So it will start to land and integrate more and more over time. So just trust your process, trust time, be patient, hold it softly, and journey well. Thank you for being here.